Hi, this is my first voiceover video, which is kind of surprising because I've done speed paints in the past, but I felt like this one needed a bit more explanation. I played Night in the Woods a few weeks ago and got through it in just a weekend, and so far I've only played the route with B, but once I finish the new Deltarune chapters that just dropped, I'm gonna do the Gregg route. For this human redesign, I decided to change the jeans for tights because they're easier to put designs on, to be honest. But overall keep the clothes the same, save for the t-shirt, like tank top, I guess, that I decided to make a bit more free-flowing in the end. I gave her freckles in the shape of whiskers. I don't know how visible they are in the final render, but they definitely are there. I couldn't make them white like in the actual game because freckles aren't white unless you wore a load of makeup. In the actual game, she has a couple cuts on her ear, which I reckon is probably from getting into a fight or falling off of a ledge, unless there's actually a reason I don't know about. But I decided to translate that into a scar on the side of her head. For the skin tone, I decided on making her white pale, because Borowski seems quite Polish, like it's a Polish surname, I'm pretty sure. So that was my decision there. I kind of struggled on the eyes. You'll see that they went through a couple phases, and I decided on sticking with the small pupil like I usually draw with characters, but then really big irises, which I don't usually do. I either do no iris or a very small iris, and that was just because what I can't really draw May without having massive red nightmare eyes. And you might see I decided on using Gyaru makeup for her eyes, which I admit is a bit of a weird decision, but to be honest, I've just been thinking about Gyaru makeup quite a bit recently. One of my friends got really into it, and I think it looks really cool, and I think it almost helps accentuate the eyes quite a lot, which really helps May's design. But yeah, here's the final render. On to the next one, I guess. So for this drawing, I wanted to do a perspective one, because the quote I'm using, "they were just shapes," is quite dramatic, I think, and I wanted to try and capture how May must have been feeling in that moment, sort of spaced out and sort of dissociative. I thought, that would probably be best captured by a really dramatic sort of like camera angle. So I pulled in this really goofy reference, and yeah, I just kind of drew it. I quite like the first pass of the sketch, which is quite uncommon for me, so I was quite proud of myself for that. And I tried something weird with the line art, where I did it really thin at first, so I didn't really like that, so I went back over it with a different pen. So certain bits are thicker than other bits, which I don't usually do, but I do quite like how this turned out because it makes it look a bit shakier, which is kind of what I was going for. And I also did a lot more detail on the clothing. I don't usually do that. And same with the hair, because I was looking at a lot of references with very detailed hair and very detailed t-shirts. And for the colours, at first I went with her actual colour palette, as you can see, and then I sort of did a very, very rough draft, and I decided I didn't like that, so I decided on doing this red pass, if that makes sense, and I really like that, so I kept that. And I'm just kind of refining the colours, making them more neat, but at the same time just trying to just popping them on there, just seeing what they look like, which is why even now it's a bit like iffy. And then I think this here is where I added this texture, which I think just added a bit more interest to the drawing, which made it feel a lot more like May was freaking out. Her head was filled with bees, And then just for the final render, I did a bit of back colours, I don't remember what they're called, like lights, and decided to block in the shading as opposed to make it like the opacity a bit lower. And voila, I guess. I really like this drawing. I'm really proud of it, actually. What do you think?
Hashtag Wallace and Gromit forever. Perfect. I ate the moon. What?